spot, bringing stats like a kingpin. MMA knowledge meets his nephews all lean in, breaking down fights, codes that daddy supreme on. Just a tip show, he's cooking up a dream. Uncle Weezy, he the man, dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand, MMA guru, more than just a fan. Wanna know the numbers? Weezy got them cataloged, from the fighters reach down to how many times they dog. Just a tip living, breaking it down slick, hit you with the knowledge, won't miss a single trick. Uncle Weezy, he the man, dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand, MMA guru, more than just a fan. Balls deep predictions, he be making those calls, getting in the details, opponents feeling small. From jazz to takedowns, got the whole fight ID. Uncle Weezy spitting truth, no lie, keep it G. Blow the horn, blow the horn. Stat Daddy Weezy not showing no scorn. Fight Night Kingdom, he wearing the crown. Break it down for the peeps, never looking like a clown.
UFC 322, what? Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday afternoon. Earlier today, we had the weigh-ins for UFC 322. Everybody made weight but Beneil Dariush, who missed by just over 1 pound. And we've got 14 fights to break down on this phenomenal pay-per-view card, probably one of the best cards of the year, headlined by Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena. The co-main event is Valentina Shevchenko and Weili Zhang, two super fights, two like dominant fighters in Islam Makhachev and Weili Zhang, moving up a weight class because they've basically cleared out the weight class that they were from. So we got some really high-level fights on this card to break down. I'm your host, Uncle Weezy, and I'm going to give you guys a quick full card breakdown today. I'm going to give you my favorite dog pick of the week. I'm going to give you Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. And then I'm going to give you guys a greasy 4-leg parlay that's got some meat on the bone that we can hopefully cash while watching these phenomenal fights tomorrow night. If you want to look in the description of the video, there is a 50% off coupon for the first month membership to my probability stats and content package. There is a ton of good stuff in there. You're going to see a lot of that stuff while we break down these fights. The stat sheets, the betting models for over-unders, the betting models for props, individual fighter stats, matchup stats, tracked bets, fight write-ups, exclusive odd shopper only subscriber content, full card breakdown show every week called Balls Deep Breakdowns with Uncle Weezy. Probability, which is my Plus EV prop betting show where we use my betting models, combine them with the reads that we came up with in Balls Deep Breakdowns to find the best Plus EV bets of the week. If you want to support my work, if you want to get access to all the information that I give out to MMA bettors on a weekly basis that are going to help you make better long-term betting decisions in the long run, click that link in the description of the video. 50% off your first month. It'll only cost you $12.50. And I've only made 10 spots available. So get in quickly before they all go. They'll be available until sometime next week, but I only want to give out 10 of those. So the first 10 people who show up will get that discount. Click that link in the description of the video. But let me share my screen with you guys. And let's start off with a full card breakdown of all 14 fights that are on this phenomenal UFC 322 card. The first fight that we're going to talk about is Vyacheslav Borshev versus Mateus Camilo. And I'm going with Borshev here. I'm an addict. I've got a problem. Some people like cocaine. Some people like heroin. Some people like alcohol. I'm addicted to losing money on Vyacheslav Borshev. But I don't want to be an addict. I don't want to be addicted to shit that I don't need in my life, and I don't need to lose money. You know, what I need is to make money. Now, I'm picking Vyacheslav Borshev to win by third-round knockout because I believe that he's the better striker here. I believe he has better conditioning. I believe that he's a lot more durable than Mateus Camilo, and I believe that he's got 10 times more heart and 10 times less quit in him. So I kind of feel like if Camilo's not going out there and getting an early finish against somebody like Borshev, who never fucks off, who never stops pressuring, who never stops throwing volume, and who never stops trying to get back to his feet when you do take him down. When we saw Camilo just go out there and quit in his UFC debut, I don't back quitters. I don't back people who fade against Vyacheslav Borshov because I just don't assume it's going to be easy to get him out of there early, especially if you're Mateus Camilo and you haven't really proved shit at this level yet. So I'm going with Borshov to survive the early storm from Mateus Camilo, to get back up when he gets taken down, to pressure him on the feet, and find that quit that we all know exists in Mateus because he's been finished in all 3 of his professional losses, and find that late knockout in round number 3. Next fight that we're going to talk about, Baysengar Susurkayev at -1,000 going up against Urk Makhachev. He's plus 700. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Juice to the tits at -600. I'm going Susurkayev KO1. I think the guy's a good fighter. I think he's a very good prospect. Only 24 years old. He's well-rounded. He's aggressive. He's very, very confident, and he's flashy with his strikes on the feet. He can switch stances. He's got great kicks to the body, like we saw in his Dana White Contender Series fight. He looks to take your head off, and he's a good anti-grappler if you try to wrestle him. And as we saw in the UFC debut against Eric Nolan, he can get a takedown of his own. He can get to your back, and he can finish with submissions or ground and pounds. So I like Susurkayev to get the job done here. Makhachev, pretty good at everything. Solid wrestler, solid striker, solid conditioning. A coach over at the MMA lab, so he's in the room with some really good fighters, surrounded himself with some pretty good talent, but he's not spectacular anywhere. He's getting a lot older, too. I think he's at least 10 years older than Susurkayev is, so I just don't see a lot of upside for Eric right now, so I'm going with Susurkayev to get the job done early. There's really no bettable lines on this fight, though. Everything's juiced to the tits, and I'm just going to stay away and see how Susurkayev does in his second UFC fight. The next one that we're going to talk about is Angela Hill versus Fatima Klein. Klein, a massive -550 favorite here over the 40-year-old veteran Angela Overkill Hill. Klein looks like a really good prospect. She outstruck Melissa Martinez in her last fight. She showed that she doesn't need to go to her grappling in order to win minutes, bank rounds, and even find a finish. And she is a high-level grappler as well. So her and Erin Blanchfield have been training together for a long time. They're both really high-level grapplers. And Fatima just looks the part right now. She looks technical on the feet. She can switch stances. She can kick. She can punch. She can wrestle a little bit. And if she gets fights to the ground, she's got a really good top game, really aggressive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu attack when she gets down to the mat and into advantageous positions. So Hill's going to be a very good test for her because Hill's very durable. She's never been knocked out at the UFC level. She's been submitted a couple of times, but both of those submissions, I believe, are at this point almost 10 years ago. So, it's just she's a different fighter now than she was when she first came into the UFC and she was susceptible to grappling heavy game plans. That's not really a thing anymore. So even though Klein -550, I think that's too wide. But she's 10 years younger. She's probably the better minute winner wherever this fight goes. So I'm going to pick Fatima Klein to win this one by decision. The next fight, Pat Sabatini versus Chepe Mariscal. This is a great one. I'm really looking forward to this rematch of a fight that happened in 2018. 50-50 fight. Pat forced his pace and his style on Chepe, and Chepe was able to handle it. Chepe got top-timed a lot. Chepe scrambled a lot, landed the better ground and pound, and probably did a little bit more damage, which was why he got that split decision win. Now, you can make a pretty good argument that both of those guys won that fight. Sabatini had a lot of success. I think he had more top time. He landed some pretty good ground and pound in his own right. So these guys are very well matched. Two really high-level grapplers, but Sabatini probably the better minute and moment winner while this thing is in the grappling exchanges. But one of the things I want to show you on my stats package that I think is important to note for this fight in particular is that Pat Sabatini lands 1.54 clinch and ground strikes per minute and absorbs 0.56. So we know how dangerous Pat is on the mat when he's looking for his submissions. But when he's not looking for the submissions, he's not doing a ton of damage. The average clinch and ground strikes landed per minute for this division, which can be found on my matchup template slightly to the right. The clinch and ground strikes landed per minute average is about 2.15. So Pat really doesn't have great ground and pound. And we know that because we've got at least a 60-minute sample size of him in control time positions, over which that large sample size of time, he's only landing about 1.5 clinch and ground strikes per minute, while Chepe is landing 4.61 clinch and ground strikes per minute, more than twice the divisional average. So I think that this fight is going to play out extremely close. I see Pat forcing his style and his pace on Chepe, and I believe Chepe is going to be fine fighting at that pace and fighting that style because he's got excellent judo, excellent anti-grappling, excellent submission defense. And while they are in that phone booth, in the clinch and on the mat, I see Chepe doing more damage, and I see Pat having more control and having more finish upside with his submissions. I think Pat's a little bit better with his control time and his just sticking to his opponents and limiting their offense. So I'm going to pick Pat Sabatini to win this fight by decision, but I think it's going to be very close. And at the current price with Pat minus 130 and Chepe plus 110, I think probably Chepe is the better money line bet, simply because you're getting plus money on him. And I see that this fight is going to play out very close. And with Pat, you have to worry about that chin. That's the one thing that, like, he could be going great for 2.5 rounds. Chepe stands up once, lands one big elbow or step-in knee, and the fight could be over. So, I mean, I'm picking Pat, but I think Chepe's got a good chance to win this fight. We got Kyle Daukaus going up against Gerald Meerschaert here. I'm going with the Daukaus KO. Gerald is on a 3-fight losing streak. His wrestling has never really been where it needs to be in order for us to be really worried about his offensive grappling attack. We saw in the Tavares fight that even though Tavares is a guy with really good takedown defense, that Gerald, over 3 rounds and over many, many takedown attempts, was never able to get that fight to the ground and find a dominant position against Brad Tavares, something that we've seen other guys do against him. So Gerald is, a killer be killed fighter. He's very grappling dependent, and he's extremely hittable on the feet. Kyle Daukaus is somebody that used to be a pure grappler who really only used his striking to set up the entries on his takedowns and his grappling attack. But now what I see here is a guy in Daukaus who's probably a very similar on the level of grappling as Gerald Meerschaert is, but he's just a lot more dangerous at distance striking ranges. We just saw him come off in his last fight after being invited back to the UFC after getting cut, knocking out Michel Pereira in round number 1, a guy who had never even been dropped at the UFC level. So, and Kyle's last fight before the Pereira fight was a win by knockout as well. So he's showing a lot more power in his hands right now. I think he could probably stop the takedowns from Meerschaert if Meerschaert's looking to grapple. And I think at some point, Kyle's going to find the chin and find that KO win. The next fight that we're going to talk about was supposed to be Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Haddon. Now he's fighting something called Ethan Ewing. I have no idea who Ethan Ewing is. I have no prediction really on this fight. But here's the thing. I had Wellmaker winning over Cody Haddon by first round knockout. And my guess is that Cody's better than Ethan because I've heard of Cody and I haven't heard of Ethan. But don't take my word for it, guys. I haven't done any research on this fight. I really don't break down fights when they're added even on a Tuesday. But this fight wasn't even added until yesterday. So, yeah, I'm not betting on this fight. There's no betting advice here. I'm just basically making a Wellmaker KO1 pick because that's what he's been doing. I don't know who Ethan Ewing is or what he does well, so there's no real official prediction here. So let's just move on to another fight that I do have notes on, which is going to be Aaron Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. We got Aaron Blanchfield minus 235, Tracy Cortez plus 200. and the fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at plus 300 for this fight. So I like Erin here. I think she's going to pressure on the feet. I think she's going to throw more strikes at distance striking range. I think she's probably going to be the one attempting more takedowns, and she's definitely the much more dangerous submission grappler and moment winner in the grappling exchanges of this fight. So I feel like Erin has all the finish upside here. You know, if Erin's finish only prop was minus 300, in my opinion, that wouldn't be wide enough. I think it should be minus 400, minus 500. Tracy's never had finishing upside at this level, and especially against somebody like Erin, you know, who's, you know, barely ever even lost in her career besides, you know, like actually getting finished. So, yeah, I think this goes to decision at a pretty high clip because Tracy's a very good fighter who's very well-rounded. She's got solid striking, solid conditioning, and above average offensive and defensive wrestling, which I could see Tracy keeping this really close on the feet. And if Tracy's the one who dictates when the grappling exchanges happen in this fight, you know, I could see her getting takedowns. I could see her getting top time. So I think this fight is going to play out close. I'm going with Erin Blanchfield by decision. I think there's some value on the Cortez money line, Cortez decision prop, Cortez plus 3.5 points, because we've seen Erin Blanchfield against, you know, aggressive physical grapplers have difficulty getting them down sometimes, especially the Manfiro fight, the JJ Aldrich fight, and the Taylor Santos fight, where she just had to clinch up in rounds 2 and 3 and win like that. So I think that this fight is going to play out closer than what the money line suggests, but I'm still pretty confident that Erin gets the job done, gets her hand raised. And I think it's going to be a decision, but I do think that Erin has all the finish upside in this fight. The next one that we're going to talk about, Roman Kopylov plus 160, Gregory Rodriguez minus 200. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Juice to the tits at minus 250. You know, I kind of see this one going to decision, actually. Roman's a very fast and durable striker. He's never been knocked out before. He slows down late in fights, and he can definitely be submitted, as we've seen a couple of different times at the UFC level. But Rodriguez is a guy that people have been pissing away money on Rodriguez to win by submission for several different fights. It's not my addiction. I prefer losing money on guys like Vyacheslav Borshov, and I also have a fetish for losing a quarter unit on Roman Dolidze by submission every time he fights. But a lot of people have been betting Gregory Rodriguez by submission unsuccessfully over and over and over again because he never really seems to take advantage of the grappling and advantage that he has in some of his fights. And he seems very willing to stand and strike when he does have a grappling advantage, which can be a little bit frustrating. You don't want to be laying juice on guys that are showing shitty fight IQ like that. So this is going to be an interesting one because I think that these guys are very well matched at distance striking range. Roman's faster. He's got better kicks. But Rodriguez has got really good pressure, really good volume. And you have to worry about the threat of the takedown when you're standing in front of him as well. So I think that Rodriguez has more ways to win this fight, and I favor his conditioning more than I do Roman. So I think he's going to win this fight and win it by decision. So I like an over 1.5 here. I like a fight goes to decision here, and I could see Kopylov or Rodriguez winning a decision. So those are the spots that I like for this particular fight. The next fight that we're going to talk about is another one that I like to go to decision. Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira. I think Bo has more ways to win this fight, just like Rodriguez did, right? Because I think that these guys are going to be well matched at distance striking range. I mean, real ones will never forget that Rodolfo Vieira lost 2 out of 3 rounds to Andre Petroski at distance striking range. That hurts, you guys. If you're losing minutes to Andre Petroski, who's got no chin and just okay striking, it's kind of hard to pick you to win a fight at this level unless you either are fighting somebody like Teresian Gore, like he did in his last fight, and Teresian doesn't throw any volume, So actually, Vieira was mixing in the takedowns, making him think about that while just kind of popping the jab in his face and doing more than Teresian did. So he was able to win a striking-based decision there. But I think Bo is going to be right on Rodolfo's level when it comes to the distance striking and the ability to win minutes and moments there. But I also believe that Bo is the much better offensive and defensive wrestler who should be able to dictate when and if this fight goes to the ground. So I think Bo has more ways to win. I like either guy's decision prop. Rodolfo is sitting at like around plus 450 on most of the regionals. He was at plus 600 by decision on Bet Online last night. I don't know if that's still available, but there's some value there. But I do think that Bo's going to win this fight by decision because I think he can end up every round by getting like a takedown with 1 minute left and then just kind of, sealing a close round by getting a little bit of top time and showing that he's got more paths to victory. So Bo Nickel by decision is the pick, and I like the overs in that fight. Main card now. And once again, if you haven't seen it, check out that link in the description of the video to my probability stats and content package. I got 10 half-price memberships available for 1 month, $12.50 per month. It's going to give you access to my fight write-ups that I do for every fight. It's going to give you access to the stat packages that have, the matchup stats, the individual fighter stats that you see here, the over-under betting models, the prop betting models, all the fight write-ups for all the fights, access to the Discord, access to all my tracked bets, and then access to about the 4 hours of content that I do on YouTube every week that's unlisted that you guys don't get to see because it's only for the Odds Shopper subs. So if you want to support my work, if you like what I'm doing here, click that link in the description of the video and get yourself 50% off your first month's membership to this phenomenal information treasure trove that I put out every week for MMA bettors. So let's move on to the main card though here. And and if you don't want to do that, if you don't have the money to do it, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, leave me a comment, all that type of stuff. I appreciate that as well. Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint Denis. Great fight. It's the minute winning of Beneil Dariush with his phenomenal offensive and defensive grappling versus the constant pace, pressure, offensive output, and moment winning of Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis, the younger fighter, the much, 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 much more durable fighter. The guy who fights at a blistering pace against a guy in Benny Dariush who has just been consistently underrated by the market. Benny Dariush, all he does really is outperform market expectations. Beneil Dariush has 13 fights where he's been priced as a pick'em or underdog in the UFC. You know how many of those fights that he's lost when he's been priced as a pick'em or underdog out of the 13? 2. Beneil Dariush is 10 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw over 13 fights where he's been priced as a pick'em or underdog at the UFC level. And he is over 90% return on investment for people that have backed him as an underdog. So you short Beneil Dariush at your own risk. But I see this as Dariush by decision, a dominant grappling-based decision, or I see Benoit Saint Denis finding a finish. So I've got a 1.5 unit bet on Benoit Saint Denis to win inside the distance at plus 100. And I also have a 1 unit bet on Beneil Dariush to win by decision at plus 500. So if Dariush wins a decision here, I'll be up 3.5 units. If Benoit Saint Denis wins a decision or wins inside the distance, I will be up 0.5 units. And if Saint Denis wins by decision, or if Dariush finds a finish, I'll be down 2.5 units. So I'm looking for probably a Saint Denis finish, but I also think that Dariush by decision at plus 500 is extremely underpriced due to the fact that he's just been such a dominant minute winner in the grappling exchanges of his fights. And Benoit Saint Denis just doesn't spend a lot of time in the center of the cage at distance striking range. So it's going to be a very interesting stylistic matchup where I think both fighters are elite and have paths to victory here. All right, 200 of you hanging out live here. Appreciate each and every one of you as we were about to talk about Leon Rocky Edwards against Carlos Smokes with Cigarettes Prates We got Leon about plus 140. Protests around minus 160. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Sitting at minus 115. I think Leon's going to run into a dick saw tomorrow, you guys. Carlos Prates is a terrifying striker with terrifying moment-winning ability, whether it's his straight left, whether it's his left head kick, whether it's his step-in knees, whether it's his clinch elbows. I mean, anything that this guy throws has the opportunity to knock you out. And while Prates sometimes does get a little bit slow starting, there's that one point in every round, and it happens in all of his fights, where he starts going forward and throwing offense. And when he gets to that point in his attack, he's one of the most dangerous fighters in any fucking weight class in the entire UFC. Carlos Prates, I believe, is going to land some kind of a step-in knee that ends Leon Edwards' night and ends it fucking violently. I think that Prates is going to shave Leon's ass violently by KO, round 1, round 2, maybe round 3. But I don't like this matchup at all for Leon. I think he's extremely overrated. And I don't think that he's ever in his UFC career faced somebody like Carlos Prates, not even close. And I think that we're going to find out a guy in Edwards who's really just been phenomenal. And we have to give him credit for this. I mean, like, his ability to kind of avoid the fight and win minutes while doing it is elite. I mean, I've never seen a guy between, it has to be Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad, who have done more with less than everybody else and wound up becoming a champion of one of the most dominant divisions in the entire UFC, and doing it in Belal's case by being the smartest fighter in the UFC, one of the most well-rounded fighters with a really good idea of who he is and how to fight to his strengths and his opponent's weaknesses. And a guy in Edwards who only took fights that he could win, you know, who only just did a little bit more than his opponents and just, you know, found almost no moment-winning success other than the head kick knockout of Kamaru Usman to win the belt. I mean, like, some of the most underwhelming performances that we've ever seen have come from Leon Edwards, while Carlos Prates is just the absolute fucking opposite of that. Every time Carlos Prates wins, it's a highlight reel. And, you know, I don't think these fighters could be any different. And, you know, I mean, Leon Edwards could win 14 and a half minutes of this fight, and then Carlos could just end him. So I like Prates. I like him to do it violently, and I'm picking a second-round knockout. Next one, Sean Brady, Michael Morales, really one of the most compelling fights on the entire card. And that's saying a lot, because this card is compelling pretty much from top to bottom. I don't know. Why am I saying Morales KO2? I'm pretty sure I picked Morales KO3 in my write-up. Let me look here. Oh, second round KO. Did I say? Yeah, all right. I'm going Morales second round knockout here. I think that Michael is going to be able to stop the takedowns. And if he does that, I think it's going to be a really long night for Sean. Michael Morales training over at Valley Flow Striking with Belal Muhammad, the only guy to beat Sean Brady. So, I mean, he's working with a phenomenal defensive wrestler in Belal Muhammad, who has already beaten Sean Brady and can kind of give him the keys to how to do the same thing himself. And then if you think about it, you know, we got Belal Muhammad fighting next week against Ian Gary, 5 rounds in Doha, Qatar. So Morales and Belal peaking around the same time to have, you know, really high level and important fights under the bright lights here in the UFC. So I'm not confident about this pick, you guys. I mean, obviously there are phenomenal arguments to be made on the Sean Brady side, phenomenal arguments to be made on the Michael Morales side. I mean, if you look at my fight right up here, I talk about the reasons to bet on each fighter. And then when I have reasons to bet against Sean Brady here, those are the exact same reasons to bet on Michael Morales. But with Brady, you're getting the UFC experience and strength of schedule advantages. You're getting the better minute and moment winner in the grappling exchanges of this fight. And with Michael Morales, you're getting the guy who's 6.5 years younger, 2 inches taller, 7-inch reach advantage. He's got freak athleticism, and with that comes natural power and explosivity that you can't teach that. while he has something that you can't teach, Michael Morales has also been learning martial arts since he was old enough to walk. I mean, both of his parents black belts. You know, he grew up in a dojo. So, and I believe that obviously Michael is going to be with all those measurables and explosivity. He's going to be the better minute and moment winner at distance striking range here. And this is the first time that we've ever seen Michael Morales actually priced at plus money. So there's a lot of reasons here to like Morales. There's a lot of reasons to like Sean Brady, because if Sean gets you down, man, he's as dominant of a top-time grappler as there is in this division. So it's going to be about whether Sean can dictate the pace and the location of this fight. If he can do that, he's going to probably cover that minus 130 price tag. If he's unable to do that, I think Michael Morales is going to look a lot better than plus 110. But I'm going with Morales. I'm going with the KO2. I thought I had picked round 3, but my thought is that Michael was going to try to outdo Bilal and get Sean out of there even quicker than Bilal did. But we'll see how that goes. It's a phenomenal fight. Can't wait to watch it, you guys. Co-main event, Valentina versus Zhang. Valentina minus 135, Zhang plus 115. Fight doesn't go to decision here at plus 190. I'm going with Wei Li. She's just the more dominant fighter right now, you guys. If you look at Valentina's recent performances, you started to see some chinks in the armor in the Tyler Santos fight. Then you saw more in the Grasso 3 fights. And then the Montefiore fight. She lands a big shot at the end of round 4. If she doesn't end that, she loses that fight. And I think you could still make an argument that Manon won 3 rounds of that fight. Even then, I scored it for Valentina. Just saying that Valentina's performances have been, closer fights. And I mean, if you look at Zhang Wei Li's last 5 fights, she retires Joanna Jędrzejczyk in brutal fashion, in absolutely brutal fashion. Then she ends the career of Carla Esparza, puts her in a crucifix and chokes her out. She beats 9 shades of shit out of Amanda Lemos for the full 5 rounds. She beats 9 shades of shit out of Yan Xiaonan for the full 5 rounds. And then she makes Tatiana Suarez look ordinary and cashes as an underdog and out-grapples, maybe the most dominant grappler in the strawweight division in the history of it, just based on her performances up until the Zhang Wei Li fight. Now, and we've seen Rose Namajunas move up to 125 and look at home immediately. We've seen Jessica Andrade bounce back and forth between 115, 125, 135. We saw Alexa Grasso move up from 115 to 125 and become champion. And now we're going to see Weili Zhang make that same move. So even hell, I mean, Macy Barber used to be a strawweight. She moved up to 125, and people say that she's the more physical fighter against a lot of the 125ers. So I don't think that physicality is going to be a problem here. I think this comes down to which lady is fighting at a higher level right now. And I don't think there's much argument that that's Weili Zhang. So I'm going with Wei Li. I'm going with her to win this one by decision. I think it's a great fight, and I can't wait to see how it turns out, which brings us to the main event of the evening. Jack Della, Islam Makhachev. This line has moved a little bit since I did my Balls Deep Breakdown show on Wednesday night. We see Islam now around minus 300 on most books, and Jack Della sitting around plus 250. I'm going with Islam. He's one of the most dominant fighters in the history of the organization. I've never been impressed with Jack Della Maddalena's grappling, and I think the striking is going to be close. I know that Jack Della Maddalena is a phenomenal striker, but I mean, let's face it, you guys, Bilal was going 50-50 with this guy in a lot of stretches on the feet. If Bilal is going 50-50 with you on the feet, and that was the only time that we ever saw Bilal Muhammad actually fight with a bad game plan. So I think that Makhachev's just going to be way too much for Jack here. I favor Jack on the feet, but I think it's going to be close, and I don't think it's going to be close on the mat. So I'm going with Makhachev to not just win this fight, but to find a Darce choke at some point here, lock that up and finish the fight. Makhachev, legendary squeeze, great submission grappling, high-level wrestling. And I think that Islam might even be better at 170 than at 155, because the one thing that I always thought Islam was lacking was more pace, more pressure, more offensive output. And maybe now that he's not killing himself for the weight cuts to make it down to 155, we could see Islam actually fighting with more pace, pressure, and volume. And I mean, if he does that, he's simply terrifying. So I think I agree with the steam on the Makhachev side, and I think that he's going to make this look fairly easy against Jack Della. So I'm looking for Islam Makhachev to finish that fight by third round submission, you guys. Give you guys a dog pick of the week. The Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week. You know, you could go with Weili Zhang. You could go with Michael Morales. I think you could go with even Rodolfo Vieira. I think is going to make that fight very close. I mean, Chepe is a decent underdog pick this week, as is Vyacheslav Borshov. But I mean, just because I have a fetish on losing money on Borshov, it doesn't mean that I want you guys to join me on that. It's my personal addiction. Let's keep it mine. Let's let me suffer the consequences of having that addiction. And instead, what I can do is give you the better parts of your Uncle Weezy here and steer away from giving you Borshov as a dog of the week again. So it's going to be Weili Zhang. I mean, if we're going to take a dog, let's take an elite fighter here. I think it's a changing of the guard, you guys. Valentina Shevchenko has been a professional mixed martial artist for over 20 years. She turned pro at 15. She's 37. Okay? 22 years of miles on that engine. She's only a little bit older than Weili, but Weili's got a lot less miles on the engine. And, so I think that it's changing the guard here. I think Zhang's one of the most dominant fighters ever. And I think that she kind of secures herself in that discussion of who the GOAT is at 115, 125, if she's able to find a dominant win here over Valentina Shevchenko. I don't know if it's going to be a dominant win, but I'm picking her to win. So your Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week is going to be the Weili Zhang money line, which brings us to the last order of business before we get to the Greasy four-leg parlay, ladies and germs, and that is going to be Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Who's going to win and win violently? Is it going to be Islam Makhachev at like minus 300? Is it going to be Carlos Prates by KO here at about minus 160? Is it going to be Benoit Saint Denis to win inside the distance here, sitting around minus 180? I think that's a great option. Dawkins is a good option, but the problem is he's like minus 500, minus 550, so I'm not doing that. And then Susurkaev's minus 1,000. We're not doing that. So the original ass shaving of the week was Malcolm Wellmaker to shave the ass of Cody Haddon, but I think Cody got wind that he was the ass shaving of the week, and then he made a call and said, look, I can't fight. If Uncle Weezy's picking against me, it's already over. And this way, I don't have to absorb that big right hook that separates me from my consciousness. So now what? Now what are we going to do? Because it's no longer Malcolm Wellmaker to shave the ass of Cody Haddon. And since I've never seen Ethan Ewing fight, I can't condone that. So I'm going to have to give you guys something else here. And we have to find something that's not only going to win and win violently, but do it at the right price, And just like, cigarettes ruin your health, ladies and gentlemen, Carlos Prates does the exact same thing to his opponents. He ruins your brain health. There should be a Surgeon General's warning on any contract that you sign to get into the cage with one Carlos Prates, the nightmare. He smokes with cigarettes and he smokes his fucking opponents, ladies and gentlemen. Carlos Prates, KO round 2 over the underwhelming and harmless Leon Edwards. Let's see if Leon Edwards can crotch sniff his way to a 29-28 split decision, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think at some point this guy's going to get desperate to shoot in for a takedown, and Carlos Prates is going to introduce Leon Edwards to his right knee, and then about 3 minutes later, Leon's going to wake up looking at the lights, wondering, hey, what happened? So Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, we've had to pivot off of Malcolm Wellmaker, and we're going with Carlos Prates to shave the ass of Leon Edwards. All right, you guys, I think I need to get this off here for a sec. Let me do this. Okay, so let's do a Greasy 4-leg parlay here. We can do this one on Bet Online, but one of the lines moved, so we're not going to get as good of a price as we would have gotten before. However, I still think it's a really good 4-leg parlay that I like to cash this week. Over 2.5 rounds in the Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira fight. This is me just kind of following the protocol of a grappler versus grappler fight, usually taking place on the feet and winding up being a tepid distance striking match where neither guy has a lot of power or finishing ability. So I think that Bo might wrestle Vieira, and if he wants to do that, he can do that on his terms. But, with seeing the Paul Craig fight and seeing his fight IQ, knowing that he probably shouldn't go to the ground with Paul Craig, and then, kind of pushing his advantage at distance striking range, I think Bo showed that he's got a good fight IQ, good coaches, and he's not going to take unnecessary risks. And we saw that Rodolfo Vieira couldn't take down Tarijian Gore in his last fight. So I don't really expect Rodolfo to go out there and take down a guy in Bo Nickel, who's one of the most decorated college wrestlers of all time. So I see leg number one cashing because I see this winding up being a really shitty distance striking match where neither guy has a lot of power. So I'm going with the over 2.5 rounds. Before Showtime, that was sitting at -135. Now it is priced at -154. So we're not getting as good of a price here, but I think it's going to hit. Leg number 2 is going to be Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week to go out there and win. Carlos Prates' money line at -163 is going to be the second leg of this parlay. That brings us up to +166 on Bet Online Sportsbook. I already told you why I like Prates. I like him to win and win violently, and I even think he can win the minutes of this fight just because, Leon is so harmless and does so little. Leg number 3 is going to be the Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking Pick of the Week. This is the leg that's going to kind of juice up this parlay and give us something a little bit with a little bit more meat on the bone here. So we're going to go with that Weili Zhang money line, currently sitting at +120 on Bet Online Sportsbook. That brings this 3-team parlay up to +485. And then leg number 4, giving us a nice fat leg to edge out here on the last one. If we cash the first 3, we can hedge out with a Jack Della Maddalena money line because the last leg is going to be Islam Makhachev's money line at -305. That brings this 4-leg parlay, which was up to +720 when we were getting the -135 on the over 2.5 rounds for Vieira Nickel. Now, unfortunately, we're kind of getting screwed, and it only comes out to +677, but it's still a good number. And it's still one that I like to hit. Last week, we hit 3 out of the 4 legs. I had one fat plus money leg being Marco Tulio to win by decision. Obviously, he got knocked out in the second round there, and that one didn't hit, but all 3 of the other legs hit. So if Weili can find us a finish or find us a decision win here, I like Islam to win. I like Prates to win. And I like the Vieira Nickel to be a kind of like a tepid striking match that goes over. So that's your Greasy 4-leg parlay coming out to +677 on Bet Online Sportsbook. And I'm just going to remind you one more time and keep this scrolling here while we answer questions from the chat, see how you guys are doing here. The probability stats and content package, I've got 10 half-price memberships. Link is in the description of the video. Get them before they're gone and get access to all this phenomenal UFC 322 information that I have between my 4 hours of content on YouTube that you can't get for free here. The betting models for over-unders and props, the individual fighter stats, the matchup stats, the fight write-ups, access to the Discord, access to the track bets. It's all there. If you want to support my work, that's the best way to do it. How are you guys doing in the chat? I see we got 244 people hanging out live here, talking fights with their Uncle Weezy. Adam DeLuca was here 2 hours early. What a G. Saying, if you haven't seen our profit breakdown fights with Hey Jive, you are missing out. Yeah, shout out Hey Jive Picks, man. We had a great time breaking down these fights on Wednesday night. I did a couple hours with Hey Jive on Wednesday night, and then I went live about an hour later for my Odds Shopper subscribers for Balls Deep Breakdowns. Completely cashed out my voice, but it's back. and we're here talking fights, man. Exclusive Oro, one of the people that is on my Odd Shopper subscription service. Love you, man. I hope all is well. Saying, how are you doing on fantasy? I'm already confirmed to make the playoffs. So last week, while I was doing stat diggers on Monday night, I had Josh Jacobs going in the Packers defense, and we had a 2-game lead on the next highest team, and there's a regular season championship that gets 25% of the pot in our league. With 2 minutes left in the game, we were down 0.05 points, and we lost by 1.5 because I think Jacobs fumbled near the end of the game. And the Packers defense gave up some cheap yards late that subtracted another point off our score. So if I would have gotten that win, we would have almost locked up a regular season championship and won like a couple $1,000 already. So I'm probably going to make the playoffs in 2 out of 3 leagues. So far, so good, man. We got Helder is in the room saying, "Oi." And saying, hey, Unc, how many cigs would you smoke with protest if you had the opportunity? That's a good question. Now, here's the thing. I'm a former smoker. I used to smoke with cigarettes. And I kind of promised myself I would never, ever smoke even one cigarette again, because I remember one time I was at a concert with my girlfriend. She used to smoke, doing mushrooms, partying ass. We were at the Cubby Bear, which is kitty corner from Wrigley Field here in Chicago, seeing 3 great bands. It was Oberhofer, White Rabbits, and I forget whether it was Spoon that was, I think it was Spoon that was the headliner. It was a great show. And my girlfriend's out on the deck smoking a cigarette, and I'm like, hey, give me a cigarette. Or she's like, no. And I'm like, give me a hit off of that. So I took a couple puffs off that cigarette while I was shrooming. And before I knew it, like 6 months later, I was right back up to a half pack of cigarettes a day. So I don't think I would smoke even one cigarette with Carlos Prates. I'd ask him if he wants to smoke a J with me. And that's what I would smoke with him, because like I could put down the marijuana anytime I want, but cigarettes are completely different when it comes to being addictive. So I would ask if he wanted to smoke a joint with me and not a cigarette. And he's saying, if Zhang and Valentina were lying naked on your bed, would you agree to a split decision? Let me tell you something, Helder. So let's say I come in, there's Valentina, there's Zhang, they're both on the bed, they're both naked. What am I supposed to do? Say, yes, Valentina, Zhang, no, you get out of there. I'm not hurting either one of those ladies' feelings, right? So the right thing to do, the thing that heroes do, is you do both of them. You don't hurt either of their feelings, and you give them both as much of yourself as you can give. You try to be a giving, generous lover to both of them. My guy Olajuwon is in the room. Grateful Dead saying, oi! Yes, what is up, Grateful Dude? Always good to see you in here. We got Aldo in the room with the oi! We got Blue-Eyed Samurai saying, oi, yes, let's go. This was me telling you I had a sandwich showing up. Was really hungry, and I'm like, dude, I cannot do this show on an empty stomach. So we started a little bit late here today. Dixon saying, Prophet, can you please bless us with a handful of fights you think could potentially end in round 3 for either side? Maybe we can do a round robin of fight ends in round 3 to pay for this Christmas. Round 3, huh? Borshov, Camilo, I think could be a Borshov round 3 finish. I think either Brady or Morales could find a finish in round 3. And that's about it, dude. I would say the Borshov fight, and I would say the Morales-Brady fight. And yes, 4:15, and I was not a minute late for the 4:15 adjustment. The high owl in the room. Oh, yes. Gives me extra time to roll this joint. Says, see, what's up, dude? Got about 10 minutes, guys. Brutal week for us swashbucklers in the public last week. I know I was down 1.5 units. Hit big on the taco inside the distance, but nobody else kind of came through for me, and I left some money on the table. I was planning on betting Christian Duncan by KO all week, but because I already had Tulio by decision, I didn't add on with that, and that was a big mistake. Ian is in the room saying, oi, we We got Devtastic saying, finishing up that Wellmaker Waffle House regional scene guide tape, probably. Yeah, dude, we'll see how that one goes. I don't really have much of an opinion, but I think Malcolm should get the job done. Let's can't wait to find out what fresh fuckery the low-life odds makers have choreographed for us this fine weekend. We will find out, man. Weezy's never late. We need to call the police, says my guy, Dr. Peener. Always good to see you hanging out here. We got the yeahs in the room saying, where are you, Karen O? I'm right here, ready to go. We got T-Carbs in the room saying MGM was caught snoozing last night. They had Edwards protest. Fight starts round 3. Yes, at plus 165. And it was supposed to be minus 165. Oh, wow. So, yeah, you got a really nice little R-bout opportunity there. Good call. We got my guy Michael is in the room. I think we'll need to call 911. Of course, Uncle Weezy lives in Chicago, which means they'll send a social worker, which means then they'll diagnose him, and we'll have to go get him out of the farm. It could possibly happen, but don't worry about it, man. I don't answer questions to these people, and they don't come into my place. We got Helder is asking, who is older, Gregory, Slava Claus, or Dariush? Oh, boy. So on paper, right, if we were to believe UFC stats, and I don't believe them, Gregory was born in 1992, according to UFC stats. That was the year I graduated high school. We got Slava Claus was born 1992 as well. And then we got Dariush was born when? 89, was it? 89. So on paper, Dariush is the oldest, but I believe Dariush was born in 89. I'm going with Slava Claus, dude. I think I wouldn't be surprised if that dude was 42. I really wouldn't, man. He's like those Russians, man. They're tough. They're tough. They can survive just about anything, man. We got protest finish only, BSD finish only, minus 118. I love it. I think that's a great play, but I love the Blanchfield finish only. I love the BSD finish only. I love the protest finish only. Those are great spots this week. We got, he says top movies first. What's going on, dude? We got Olajuwon saying, I'm getting concerned. Protest Edwards. I'm seeing everyone and their mama lay hammers on the protest money line, but his line kept going down. Yeah, that's always weird when that happens. But then again, like reverse CLV for me is something that I cash almost every bet on. So we will see, man. I see the problem. Give Weezy money now. That is the correct thing. There you go. Somebody probably nuked at the Edwards money line. They did. I don't know who did it, but they might know something. We'll find out, because I'd be shocked if Edwards won. I know he's a former champion. I know he's a great minute winner, but I think protest is going to end him. I'm seeing that same line to get hammered. Yeah. They found him. That's right. That's right, man. We got Brandon is in the room. Another Odd Shopper subscriber saying, what is up, Brandon? Good to see you. Thanks for supporting. We got Olajuwon Dream, another Odd Shopper guy saying, yeah, there must be some silent big Leon backers out there. We got my guy Tajik Bey is in the room. What is up, dude? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Safety Inspector said, bet Leon 2 weeks ago, been sweating ever since. Yeah, it's always, when you get your bets down that early, it kind of sucks. You have to just wait and wait and wait. We got Izzy Musa in the room. What is up, dude? We got top movies first. We got Ado saying Dariush is 36. Slava 32, RoboCop 33. Yeah, Dariush is listed as the oldest, but I'm going with Slava. We got High Mark Waters in the room. What is up, dude? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got 4-ounce Sniper in the room saying Tip Squad. What is up, dude? And then ring a ding ding, you guys. The 5-pound donation from my guy Tajik Bey saying, give Uncle Weezy money now. Let's go. Appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much for the generous donation to the show, my brother. I hope all is well for you. We got Green Bat is in the room saying, most likely, yes. What's up, dude? Space Biscuit, another Odd Shopper guy saying, let's go, fellas. Hope you're well, Uncle Weezy. All is well here, brother. Looking to cash some bets on this card coming up. And glad I'm not the only one on Slava, says PG. It's okay, Weezy. Yeah, man, I'm on him. It's rough. I've been losing so much money on Slava. Carlos Prates, lock of the year, says Bumbo Clot. Big up to my guy, Bumbo Clot. We got Helder saying, give Uncle Weezy some money so we can lose betting on Porsche. That would be great. I would appreciate that. If you guys could send me the 1 unit so that I can lose somebody else's money on Borshoff for once. We got Rouses saying, oi, the stats package is coming in clutch each week. Appreciate you, Unc. Appreciate you for being a part of the Odds Shopper crew. $12.50, 50% off your first month, only for the first 10 people that sign up. Link is in the description of the video, you guys. We got deep inside her, my guy Barry McCockiner in the room saying Slava looked the worst out of everyone at weigh-ins. Well, he's not the most handsome guy, deep inside her. That's not his fault, you know. You can't just say that, you know. Goes to decision how I went, Slava. It's tough. Yeah, I agree, man. I think that's an over and a fight goes that are underpriced due to how durable Slava Borshov is. Run away, Mechanico, run, says Taz. We got JDM, Whaley, Morales, Edwards, Benil, Vieira, Kopilov, Cortez, Wellmaker, Mearshart, Chepe, Hill, Mechanico, and Camilo. Basically the opposite of all my picks, except for Whaley and Morales here. So even though Tajik Bey and I are on opposite sides of everything here this week, he did give me $5, so he gets to actually be here and say, you're going to be wrong on everything, Weezy. And he has the right to do that because he gave me money. So appreciate you, my man. Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Paul in the room saying, Zhang Gang, stand up. China, stand up. Aru, what is up, dude? Good to see you, Paul. I hope all is well, my man. And yeah, I'm with you on the Zhang game. We got Greenbat saying, Weezy, how many Zimas did you pound down in the 90s? I remember Zima. I've had a couple of them. I think I've had maybe like 2 or 3. They weren't great, you know, like it was kind of dry and flavorless. Always more of a beer drinker or a tequila drinker, obviously. But Zima was a thing when I was in college, man. Like the girls loved Zima. So yeah, I mean, I've tried it a couple of times. It's not great, wasn't great, but you know, we got him. He loves a good Zima. We got Abdi in the room saying, Uncle Weezy, thoughts on this Prize Pick square? Combined strikes in the Bo Nickel over 54.5. I agree. I think that's a phenomenal play because I think they're going to stand and jab each other up for 15 minutes. And one of the things that's available on my probability stats and content packages, you can look here at how many distance strikes are landed per minute from these guys. And Rodolfo Vieira lands 5.2. Bo Nickel lands 3.4 per minute. And even though Bo Nickel only lands 3.4, Rodolfo only has 53% defense. So I could see this fight taking place at a pace where both guys are landing 4.5 distance strikes per minute for every minute that's spent there. So that would be 9 total significant strikes landed per minute. So at that pace, you know, you would only need to go about 6 minutes in terms of covering that over at these rates right here, which are 3.4 and 5.2. So yeah, and I mean, don't forget, Bo Nickel hasn't spent much time, only 19 minutes at distance striking range, and most of that was against Paul Craig, who's just terrible. So a guy like Rodolfo, who lands a lot more distance strikes per minute, I would be saying Rodolfo Vieira over significant strikes is a good look. Bo Nickel over, and the combined over is very good. I like that play a lot. Yeah, and then Vincent, the sleeper son, is in the room, and he is saying, no way, I was telling everyone about the volume 2. Chepe will overwhelm him. Yeah, and that's one of the things, like, nobody really has access to distance striking numbers and clinch and ground striking numbers, but my stats package does have that. And when you see those kind of matchups where you see a lot of them taking place in control time positions, it's great data to have, you guys. It really does tell you in a damage over control judging environment who does more work in those positions. And my guy, the 4-ounce sniper in the room with the $2 donation saying, "Oi, yes, what's going on, 4-ounce sniper? Thank you so much, my man." We got the milkman in the room saying, got a 3-hour drive to the great city of Crawfordsville, Indiana, and nothing is better than just a tip. Never been to Crawfordsville. My brother lives in Carmel, which is right outside of Indianapolis. I'm going to be going down there at the beginning of December when we get towards the end of the UFC year. I hope you have a great trip, my man. And Helder's saying, want to see a happy man? Send Tracy Cortez to my room. 2-3 hours and forget. Read with Russian accent. She is something else, Helder. That is for sure, man. Dusty Peasant Parlay is saying, hey, Uncle Weezy, wishing you all the good fortune life has to offer. I appreciate you, Dusty Peasant. Let's hope we cash all the tickets, my man. Something called Ethan Ewing. I don't know who he is, you guys. Like, that's what happens when you drop a fight on your Uncle Weezy on Thursday night that's supposed to happen on Saturday. I don't know what an Ethan Ewing is. We got MMA fan likes it too. Helder saying, man, Protest with a mustache is unbeatable. He's compared, to Shogun wearing the white bad boy trunks back in the Pride days. I remember those bad boys with the eyes on the back. And yeah, dude, great stuff, dude. Let's see. Xavier Lockwood saying, oi, much love, OG. Appreciate the knowledge. Thank you for hanging out, Xavier. I hope all is well, my man. And Helder saying, Nickel versus Vieira, a fight between two high-level fighters, but it looks like it's going to be boring as fucking. It definitely could be that way, Helder. We're going to see, but I like the over there quite a bit, and it's getting steamed by the entire market. Yitro is in the room saying, Weez, you are the YouTube capper I respect the most. I would love to do an analysis of all your bets this year. Maybe you could unearth some surprising and valuable insights. Well, I'm having that means a lot that you respect me, because like my picks have been okay, but my track betting record this year is the worst that I've ever had. And right now I'm in the midst of a losing streak that's almost mathematically impossible when you look at the magnitude of it. But I would love it if you did an analysis of all my bets, and you can find all of my bets on Bet MMA Tips. I mean, I track all my bets there. Bet MMA Tips / Uncle Weezy. You can find everything that I've done there, and you can check it out and let me know what you think. And if you have any suggestions, I'm definitely open to hearing them, because this has been the worst betting year that I've ever had. It's been absolutely phenomenal how bad I've sucked over these last 6 months. And I started off the year like up 30 units in the first 2-3 months. I don't know what happened, but I've been on the, like a lot of these chicanery fights that have happened. I've had bets on them and gotten clipped on a lot of those spots, but so have other cappers that, are having phenomenal years. So, obviously there's things that I need to shore up and start doing better on my end to get out of the doldrums. And then we got Ross saying they currently have BSD at 3 minutes of control time on Prize Picks. Beneil has only been controlled for over 3 minutes in 1 out of 24 fights to Evan Dunham. Do you like the under as much as I do, Unc? I like it a lot there. Nobody goes out there and controls Beneil Dariush for 20% of a 15-minute fight. And if you want to look at the numbers here, obviously they're available on the probability stats and content package. And you could see that on the average, Beneil Dariush only allows 9% control time to his opponents. 9% of 900 seconds would be 81 seconds, which would be 1 minute and 21 seconds. So that would be the average. So you would need to be more than twice the average in order for that to happen. And Beneil Dariush wins 82% of the control time positions in his fights, and he has 82% takedown defense. So it's going to be very difficult for Benoit Saint-Denis to find 3 minutes of control time. So I like that under quite a bit, Rosses. We got Mariko Stanikin in the room saying, is Brady sub or Morales KO at plus 180 a good bet? Feels like 90% of them finishing each other is covered, and doesn't go to decision is sitting around to pick them. Let me see where I have that fight doesn't go. Yeah, sitting around minus 110. My model likes that at that price. 4 of 7 fights for Brady have finished inside the distance, and 3 of 5 for Morales. That's 58%. We're only paying 52%. And then the Brady sub at around plus 475 and the Morales KO at plus 350. If we add those two implied probabilities, we're going to get something around 40%, which would be plus 150. Yeah, dude, that mathematically, I think that's a really good bet at plus 180. I think that just based on a plus 350 KO prop and a plus 475 sub prop for Sean Brady, that would be plus 150. So I think that's an excellent, excellent bet. We got JWB in the room saying, hey, Weezy, it's good to catch your breakdown. Thanks for hanging out, man. And let me know if you got any questions about this week's card. We got Helder saying, is Beneil or senile? It's not, he's not that old, dude. He's only 36. It's just the gray hair. He's got gray hair like his Uncle Weezy, and everyone thinks that he's older than he really is because of that, man. The blue-eyed samurai is in the room. I think Leon wins at a decision, but it'd be funny as hell to see Carlos KO him. Yeah, and if I'm on the Leon side, I definitely like Leon decision at plus 300. I think that's a really good look this week. And the $2.99 super sticker from my guy MB. Appreciate you, man. Ring a ding ding. Thank you so much for the generous donation to the show. I love it, man. Thank you. And let me know, like I said, if you got any questions here. We got William is in the room saying Prates KO 2 or 3 combo from me. Prates and Leon are slow starters usually. Yeah, I think I've got Prates KO 2 as my official prediction there, and I could see it happening in round 3 as well. We got Brittany Ray in the room saying, Weezy, what is up, Brittany? I hope all is well. We got JWB saying, I see several finishes on this card. Yeah, I'm picking quite a few too. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 14 finishes. I've got the same pick. Round 2 KO for Morales. There we go, MMA fan. We got Brittany saying fight doesn't go isn't bad. Last time I checked, it was plus 105. Yeah, I think right now, if you're talking about Morales, minus 110 is where the fight doesn't go was the other day. And I don't have my, or wait, no, let's look and see here. Fight doesn't go for Morales. Minus 110, yes. So yeah, it's right around even money. Helder saying, is this the best pay-per-view card of the year in terms of names and historical significance for each fighter? It's definitely up there, man. I loved the card that I went to go see in Chicago. 319 was phenomenal. And there were a couple early this year that I thought were really good cards as well. But this is definitely up there. I think they did an amazing job with the matchmaking, 2 super fights, and some really compelling matchups. I think it's literally impossible to get all main card picks right. Every fight is 50-50. It's tough, man. It's really tough. I've been picking it about like a 65% clip this year, but getting all 5 right on a main card when they're well matched, it's different. It's definitely hard. We got Muhammad in the room. What is up, dude? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Green Bat saying best fighter to win by knockout, sub, or submission. Protest knockout. Islam Makhachev submission, Fatima Klein decision. That would be my cycle parlay for this week. Helder is saying, I think Brady versus Morales and Valentina versus Zhang, the most difficult outcomes to predict. Yeah, and the market agrees with you, Helder. Those are the closest line fights on the card, and I know that I agree because I had a difficult time picking both of them. And then let's see here. He's saying, I think that Brady Morales, yes, okay. We got Muhammad saying, good luck tomorrow, Jen. Same to you, man. I know you always do well. We got Colby saying it was always Islam and Blanchfield. Yeah, I think we might be saying that tomorrow for sure. And my guy, the High Owl, and I are on the same in every pick. Let's hope we have a banner week this week, High Owl. We got Nika saying, I think Leon is going to have Buckley Usman type of y'all must have forgot performance. God, I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong. But, yeah, I don't think Leon's I just don't see a lot of upside with his style. I think he's I just think that once Protest shows some kind of confidence and starts looking for the kill, I think it's going to be over quickly thereafter. But, Leon's a former champion, so he's obviously got some people backing him this week, and he's obviously got some upside. I knew I wasn't the only one with the losing money on Slava Klausovsky. Let's go. Then we get to see his victory dance. Yeah, the Russian Kalinka. Hopefully he hits us with that, man. Patrick Ewing making his return to MSG 30 years later. I didn't even think about that. This is at MSG, and I remember my Bulls playing Patrick Ewing's Knicks back in the day. Anthony Mason, John Starks. Those were some, and Patrick Ewing, obviously. Those were some wild teams, man. It's Guzzy saying I got Camilo sub, Dawkins KO, Edwards decision at plus 7,000 earlier this week. Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, Camilo's sub, that's how Slava Claus loses. Dawkins KO, that's how Mearshart loses, and then Edwards decision, that's how he wins. Brady Morales inside the distance is looking good. Yeah, I think that's not a bad look. I think I'd rather play the under than the over there. Unc, what's your lean for fight goes to decision for Chepe Pat? I do have it going to decision, but I think Chepe by KO and Pat by submission are both possibilities, so I don't want to lay juice on fight goes because I think it's like minus 160. We got Helder saying, do you think there's a chance that Islam submits JDM in the first round? Yes, I do think there is a chance that he does that. One mistake on the ground, and once he locks in that Darce, it's over. So I could definitely see it happening in any of the rounds. Usually first round is the easiest round to get a submission because both fighters are dry. T. Sawyer is in the room saying juice to the tits, dick saw, and ass shaving are my new favorite phrases. I use them daily. Thank you, Unc. Look, man, they could put that on my goddamn tombstone as far as I'm concerned. As long as I'm bringing that kind of stuff, putting it into the vernacular of the American public, I think I've done my job here on this planet. We got AJ in the room saying God of War Saint Denis to shave the Yiddish ass of Dariush. I don't think Dariush is Yiddish, my man. You don't see a lot of Yiddish Christians, but yeah, Dariush is from Iran. I think he's a Syrian, right? I think he's a Syrian. I'm not exactly positive, but yeah, shout out to my guy Benil Dariush and Benoit. That's such a great fight. I can't wait for that one. Brittany is saying, you don't think Bo is going to try to go for the finish? I'm sure he wants to fight at the White House. Yeah, but I mean, like, how does he finish Rodolfo Vieira? Like, Chris Curtis couldn't knock out Rodolfo Vieira. Rodolfo's been in some pretty good strikers. I don't think, and like, Bo's not going to take down and submit or ground and pound out a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion at the black belt level. So I think if you get a finish, it would have to be a knockout, Brenny. And it's tough to ask for Bo to find a knockout against a fighter with a pulse because it's just not his background. You know, I mean, he wasn't striking at all in college. He was only doing wrestling. So I just think that even he might want to get a finish, but I don't see it stylistically happening against an opponent like Rodolfo Vieira, that it's going to be difficult to win minutes and moments against on the ground. Do you see any more opportunity for profit from sports betting or betting at the casino? No, I definitely see more from sports betting because you can find an edge in sports betting. You can't find mathematical edges that are legal at the casino because you can engineer a casino game so that over the long haul, the casino wins. If you're going to open sports betting markets, you can have a spread in there, but you can't control the outcome of the fight unless you're actively going out there and fixing it. And that's a big risk. So I think that there's more upside potentially using mathematical models and using, good bankroll management and a decision-making algorithm of making money from sports betting than there would be from engineered casino games that are going to be minus EV in the long run. That's so interesting. After I stopped smoking cigs 2 years later, I tried to smoke one again and threw up. The smell, the taste, everything about it made me so sick. Yeah, dude, I would prefer to just stay away from it, because once you take one puff, then that nicotine is in your body and then potentially the addiction has a chance of coming back. So yeah, I'm just going to stay away from it. We got and it wasn't the nicotine, but because I still enjoy other forms. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, man. I hear you, man. Over here, we smoke tobacco in our joints. It's what's kept me from buying tobacco for 17 years. There you go, man. Smoking a pancake, my friends. There we go. God, I've always said Weezy is the most giving person on the planet. There you go. My guy Michael knows, dude. Appreciate you. Kyle Betts badly said, pray to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I love it, Kyle. And he's saying, I was saved by Taco. Anytime we see that kind of line movement and something visible, him zombified on the scale, I max bet way too much money. Yeah, man, you got to, adjusting to the information that's available at the weigh-ins is part of something you have to do as an MMA gambler. We got Brinny saying, I'm on a roll. My last 2 parlays I posted on your videos hit. Let's make it 3 in a row, Brinny. Let's go. Let's hope that I can hit this one because we were close last week. And then the week before, it was the 2 fixed fights, the Bulgarian fight and the Delia fight that screwed our Greasy 4-leggers. So hopefully this is the week that we hit. Well, my Robert saying that he'll be at Madison Square Garden. It's been a long time. The last time I think was Pearl Jam concert where Sting made an appearance. Eddie's voice held up crystal clear. The only thing is the crappy infrastructure in NYC. Yeah, I've been to NYC. I thought it was a fucking shithole, and I'm from Chicago. But I was in Manhattan, and I just couldn't stand the fucking traffic, and it was just, like the garbage everywhere. It was a complete dump. So I'm sure that the infrastructure in New York City isn't great, but that is going to be a hell of a show. It's an iconic arena, and I'm sure that place is going to be absolutely going fucking nuts. So I think you're going to be having a lot of fun, Robert. And then you can go back to your place, which is outside of New York City. Well, not New York City, but at least outside of Manhattan, and get back to a little bit closer to something to sanity, I'm sure. Weezy looks younger than Slava and Rodriguez. Dude, you're too kind, but it's just too much gray hair there, man. You see that? See all that gray hair? It's nasty, dude. It's nasty. True, the reverse CLV blessing hits. That's for sure, man. It's every goddamn time I get reverse CLV'd, the bet cashes. So I'll take it. They can drive protest to minus 150. I don't fucking care. We got Blue-Eyed Samurai. Slava will probably lose by sub. It's definitely a possibility, man. And we got Solar Cowboy saying that the ladies would put a Jolly Rancher at the bottom of this. Yeah, I've seen them do that too, man. I used to bring Jolly Ranchers out to the bars. We love that, Great, keeps your breath fresh, some sweetness. The watermelon ones were really good. We got Chef Slaps in the room saying, "Oh, what is up, dude?" We got Blue-Eyed Samurai saying, "No Bickle." That is the Twitter handle of Bo Nickel. We got Dr. Peener saying Weezy's package is known for going deep, wide, and full of stamina. The most girth of any stat daddy. And who better to believe than the world's foremost ER penis surgeon, Dr. Peener. Good to see you hanging out in here, my man. Olajuwon Dream saying, "My Lord." We got Muhammad saying, "Ross, that's a smash spot." If you're saying that's a pick'em line, that yeah, it is, man. We got Olajuwon saying Whaley looking like a mini tank at ceremonials. Yeah, she got to fucking put on some weight now. And she's going to be pretty physical and pretty strong, man. We got Elias in the room. What is happening, dude? Saying, "Hello, uncle. Let's get it. Let's get it for sure this week." We got Stamp Fairtex Fight Week, says Thailand stand up. We got Stamp Fairtex probably fighting in one, is it? Or does she have a pure Muay Thai bout? And what's her real name? Because Stamp Fairtex is a fucking cool name, but that can't be her given name. We got Chef Slap saying, I think protest KO him. He comes with more pressure than Leon can handle. When he turns on that pressure, it's just a very short period of time from the point that he turns it on to the point that he finds the knockout. No, I do not, Rohan. This is my full-time job. It's providing that stats package. It's providing the analytics package, updating that database. I've looked for work for years, and after I got my statistics degree, after I used to work in finance. I was head trader for a couple of different investment banking firms. I was a specialist trading over-the-counter stocks on the floor of the Chicago Stock Exchange. But September 11th, 2001 kind of crashed the markets and we lost our trading jobs. And then Lehman Brothers going under in 2008, I lost my trading job at that point because a lot of the investment banking firms were hurting badly at that point. So I went back to school, studied stats, tried to get back into finance, but couldn't find anything. So I wound up, building this database of UFC stats as like a hobby, as a way to kind of learn some of the things that I needed to learn in order to get hired at some of the places that I was applying at. But it just never happened. You begin to age out of the workforce at a certain point, and especially now, they don't like hiring people over 40 years of age. So I had to kind of create my own job, and that's what I'm doing here, trying to build this database, trying to build and trying to create a product that people can use, because now that gambling is legal, people want to spend time trying to figure out how to make money doing this. And one of the ways that you have to do it is through, proven mathematical modeling, statistics. You have to watch tape. You have to put in the work. So I don't have a full-time job outside of capping. This is my full-time job. Weezy, besides Chicago, where would you like to or want to live in the great USA? It would probably be down south somewhere. Maybe the Carolinas, maybe Texas, maybe Florida, maybe Arizona. Probably not on either coast. I don't think I'd want to be on the West Coast. Don't think I'd want to be on the East Coast outside of like south of Virginia, I would say. Yeah, someplace warm, man. Someplace warm, someplace scenic. Definitely that would be what I would look to do, man. And I'm in Chicago. I've been here my whole life, but when I do move, it'll be someplace warmer. That's for sure. Knicks versus Bulls were classic. Sports besides MMA were better in the 80s and 90s. I tend to agree with you, my man. We got McFly is in the room saying Whaley should be the favorite. Too much aggression for Valentina, in my opinion. Yeah, I've got a bet on her to win. I think she's going to win, but it's a great, great matchup. I've been eating ramen noodles all week. Thanks, King of Kung Fu. Yeah, the people that backed Salikov last week got served quickly. Sometimes it's more painless that way, but that was one where I think the under was the best bet. Somebody was going to get knocked out there. We got a large one saying it would be almost poetic for Ewing to win an NYC at MSG. It really would, dude. That would be wild, man. Helder saying Valentina versus Zhang smells like a split decision. It certainly could, man. Brandon saying give Uncle Weezy money now. I know my guy Brandon did, and I thank you for that. Thank you for being part of the Odd Shopper crew. Link in the description of the video. Only 10 slots available for 50% off your first month of the probability stats and content package. We got Weezus Christ, says Lashwan. B-Neg saying just for men, Weezy. You'll be looking 35 tops. Yeah, I know, man. I know. Or the Grecian formula, because I'm Greek, I could do the Grecian formula, get a little bit darker here, get my natural brown hair color back. But man, I used to have the most kick-ass fucking sideburns, looking like fucking Wolverine. But it's all gray now, man. I got to change. I got to get like better water so I could start absorbing all the nutrients. Maybe my hair will grow back darker, but maybe I'll just go with the just for men. We got Sean Robideau. Do you think the Dariush weight miss hurts or helps him? It's impossible to know because there's two reasons. You could have either purposely, botched the weight cut, but if you're Beneil Dariush and you're a family man, you don't want to take a 20% hit of your purse to get a 1 pound advantage on fight day. I mean, we've never seen Beneil do that. We've never seen Beneil kind of pull that shit. So I think it's more likely that there could be some kind of a minor injury that maybe prevented him from doing as much running or road work that he would normally do, or training as hard as he normally would. So I think it's going to hurt him, but there's no way to know for sure. We got River Tour, my guy. He reposted this stream. Appreciate you, man. We got Slips and Rips saying she is fighting kickboxing at. Oh, it's kickboxing. Okay, got it. In one, yes. Okay, yeah, the in one. I figured that. I think that's where she's always fought, but I miss a lot of those cards. And my guy T.O. Phillips saying, carve your own path, brother. Yeah, that's what everybody in my family always did. They always were entrepreneurs, all of them. So I'm proud to be another entrepreneur in a long line of them in my family. And I'm going to keep working my ass off to try to make this thing work. The YouTube channel, the Odds Shopper probability stats and content package, the tracked betting record, the stats packages, fight write-ups. I'm going to try to continue providing the best product possible so that I can keep a roof over my head and pay the bills and hopefully, make enough money to retire at some point. But it's going to be a lot of work and I don't have anyone helping me. So just doing it all myself and really looking forward to the end of the year because I'm going to probably take the last week of the year off because it's a trash Apex card and Manel Kopp is in the main event, which means he's probably not going to show up anyway. So I'm going to try to do some data science and build some technological help behind the scenes using AI to reduce some of the work that you guys don't see me doing every week. So definitely trying to carve that own path and create a business that can sustain myself without having to ask for handouts from others. We got Bears for Life saying, how late am I? You're about an hour and 26 minutes late, but it's all right, man. There's nobody's keeping attendance here, my man. We got T.O. Phillips saying, what do you think the Wellmaker KO line will be? I'd be surprised if they even opened it, but like if he's like minus 450, it's probably minus 250. But like I said, in order to accurately, give you a good answer to that question, I'd have to know what the hell this guy is that he's fighting. I don't know what he is. It should be minus 300 and I'd still hit it. Yep. We got just lie about your age like Muslim sound. Works. And then I'll give him that black and white picture of me. It looks like it's from 1920. And be like, yeah, it's 26 years old. Weezy, come to Missouri and get away from those flatlanders in Illinois. We got nothing but flatland here. So I think there are some mountains over on the Iowa border near Galena. There's a place called Chestnut Mountain over there where there's actually like a little bit of a mountain, but yeah, we're flatlanders here. And I've heard good things about Missouri, man. I've been through Missouri. We got might have to put a unit on the Wellmaker round one knockout, and then Wellmaker is minus 455 on DraftKings. Yeah, so it's going to be a big line there for sure. We got Drunken Boxing saying Big Weez in the room. What's up, Drunken Boxing? Good to see you hanging out in here. And Stamp is the baddest woman on the planet, according to my guy, Paul. I know she hits hard. I know that she's a fucking vicious hard hitter. KO minus 185 for Wellmaker. Yeah, that sounds about right to me, man. Wellmaker props are already out on DraftKings, all right? And saying that round one KO Wellmaker is plus 140, surprisingly. Yes, I'm sure Manitoba's a lot like Illinois, but only just colder. Just colder, man. Winnipeg, Manitoba, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain. But it's not like Oklahoma. I can tell you that right now, man. We got Sean Robideau saying round one KO Wellmaker is plus 140, surprisingly. Not a bad look. His round one KO is plus 175, all right, on Bet Online. And you're not wrong there. Yeah, I know, dude. Hey, there's 270 of you guys hanging out in live here. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. 10 spots available for the probability stats and content package. Click the link in the description of this video. That link will bring you to a checkout where you can get that 50% off and get access to everything that I put out on YouTube, which is only for my Odds Shopper subscribers. And give yourself access to all that phenomenal information that I put together every week for all of my subscribers. You guys, let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 322. Phenomenal pay-per-view card, 14 fights. And we gave you the Greasy 4-leg parlay. We gave you the dog pick of the week, the ass shaving of the week, and a full card breakdown. If you want to support my work, check me out on Odds Shopper, and that link is in the description of the video. We got Drunken saying, who you laying, JDM or Islam? Definitely Islam. Was there anything notable in the weigh-ins today? Just Dariush missing weight by 1 pound. Good stuff, says my guy Elijah. Want to appreciate you, my man. 270 people, 54 likes. Smash that like button. And B-Neg says 68 likes. And And we got Robert saying Weezy is a bona fide self-made man. On my way to doing the own thing as well. Can't get wealthy with a W-2 unless you're in upper management, but then you have no life and need to kiss up. And I couldn't agree more. So if you want to make your own way in this world, you got to do it on your own. We come into this world alone. We die alone. And sometimes everything that we want to accomplish, it's on us. We got to do it ourselves. So I appreciate everybody in here that is part of the Odd Shopper community. You're helping me be my own boss. You're helping me live my dream and be my own boss and create my own business and hopefully help people out and do something that I enjoy doing. So thank you for helping me do that. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe. Leave me a comment down below. Join up on the Odd Shopper. Get one of those 10 spots that's still available. And good luck on all your bets for UFC. What is this? 220? What? I fucking forgot. 322. For UFC 322. Can't wait for these fights. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks, you guys. And we will see you guys next week for the last card in this 9-week stretch, which is going to be Doha, Qatar. Is where we're making a long trip from New York to Doha. And should be some fun fights on that one, too. And then we're going to have Thanksgiving break. So you guys have a great rest of your day. Good luck on all your bets. And we'll see you next week for UFC Doha. Take care.